Good morning, everybody. Happy Trump Day. It is Wednesday, November 6th, and we are live with episode number 10 of the Mindless Meanderings. I'm Jesse Fries, coming to you from Central Texas, where I'm not feeling well, and like a Democrat, I'll just blame it on Trump, because that sounds like fun.
Absolutely. I'm Jamin Fries, coming at you from Eastern Kansas, and other than the election, there ain't really much going on here.
There really isn't, is there? It's
No.
all about the election. That's it.
Yep.
Okay, so what's your main takeaway from the election?
My main takeaway is, as a very conservative person myself, I was very happy to see that Trump was able to pull off the popular vote even so far.
Right.
By quite a big amount.
I could see that. Yeah.
It kind of makes me think that maybe the country is starting to centralize again a little bit more.
Maybe so. That's the hope.
Just a wee bit, just a little bit.
Just a wee bit. Yeah. I'm hoping, especially since he also won the majority, just in general. I hope this stops the whole "he's not my president" bullshit.
Yeah.
I hope it shows the Democrats and everything like that most of the people of the United States back him up. So quit your shit. Yeah. Just deal with him like any other person. Stop trying to go after him like he's evil incarnate.
Yep.
That's really what I'm hoping for. That it's
really what I want to see first is with three states not reporting yet that are leaning towards Trump right now. Even that there was some talk that he may break 300.
Right.
Which is a pretty big deal. So, before the election, I kept hearing that the Democrats were talking about how they were going to contest the election no matter what the results and all this other stuff.
Yep.
I really hope that we can just get rid of all that and we don't see the contention. We see, that we see the very peaceful transfer of power.
Yeah, I think this time will be better than 2020. I think the election workers, I think they actually did a good job this time around. There were no 3 a.m. dumps of ballots that spiked. Yeah. That was so iffy and that caused so much confusion just to see a spike like that at 3 o'clock or something like that back in 2020. And it made a lot of Republicans and everything like that actually think that it was stolen, whether or not it was. Things like that really made people think that it was stolen. But there was none of that this time. There
were a lot of questionable things.
Exactly.
With that. And it's not, it's not that it was a nefarious plot or anything like that, but just the biggest reason that there was so much concern about the 2020 was because it quite honestly was the first time ever that we had more mail-in ballots than in-person votes.
Well, it was COVID, so yeah.
Yeah. With the reaction to COVID and how they decided to do the voting, it was the first time ever for us. We'd never seen anything like it before.
Yep.
And so, they didn't really know how to handle it that well. With the election people, they'd never done this before. What do we need to do? They were making up the rules as they went, and that's never a good way to run a. It's never a good way to have good faith in an election if it's just being made up as you go.
Yep, and you need faith in an election, otherwise it will cause
absolutely
drama like nobody's business.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, I'm really happy about that because it went smoothly. It really did. It was
Yep.
just a smooth operation. I really do praise the election workers this time around. They really
Oh,
did a good job.
absolutely. Yeah, they were phenomenal.
Yep. So I think they're a major winner in this as well. Even no
Yep.
matter who won, I think they handled it very well. It was smooth
Yeah.
and good to go on that. Yeah.
And I also liked that they were very open about about any discrepancies.
Yep.
The the election personnel, they report. The like in I think it was Lancaster County or something like that, where they reported immediately that they got these not ballots, but they got the voter registrations that were all signed by the same person.
Yep.
It wasn't something that came up a week later. It was something that they dealt with right then and there.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
I think that was a huge improvement over anything. And so I mean I don't see any way to really contest this one. I don't see any way to claim voter fraud, because I mean there were some problems with the machines and stuff like that, but
There
it
always
was,
are.
yeah. I mean,
There.
I find it really funny, in some places they're talking about, they've got like the Dominion root machines or something like that,
Uh-huh.
and they're still talking about, well, we're going to need like a week to tally all the votes. I'm like,
Yep.
isn't the machine's purpose to have the votes tallied almost immediately?
You would think, but
I mean, why else do you need a machine?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. But then again, why is like Arizona taking so long? Come on, they really need to figure out their system as well.
Yeah,
Because they're saying that
Nevada.
won't be. Yeah, they're saying that really won't be tabulated until like Friday or something like that, or tomorrow. It's
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, I can somewhat understand it with Nevada,
uh,
because they um they they let you send your mail-in ballot up to the day of the election,
right.
and so they have to wait at least 4 days for those mail-in ballots to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can see, but at the same time, if you're doing a mail-in ballot, the entire reason for doing a mail-in ballot is because because you can't be at the poll on the election day,
Mm-hmm.
but you can go to your
Mailbox.
mailbox to mail it. I
Apparently,
mean,
somehow it makes sense. Yeah, it's
I would like to see laws that mail-in ballots have to be put in at least like 3 or 4 days before the election happens. But
yeah.
there's complications with that too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's really tough with when you're dealing with mail-in ballots on a large scale like we are now. It's really tough to figure out exactly when and what to do with them.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll break this down and think, see if how they want
Oh
to
yeah.
change laws and everything like that.
Yep.
So with that, why do you think people voted for Trump? What's your opinion on that?
I honestly, I think that there were a couple of things that went into it.
Uh huh.
There's, of course, the economy. Not really the economy, because the economy as a whole isn't really in a horrible condition right now.
Right.
There has been improvement, but it's the what's on the table. It's the grocery stores. It's the inflation. That's the biggest problem. I think that's one of the biggest problems that there was. And, you know, that can be tied to Biden, but Harris never stepped away from Biden on anything.
No, she didn't. Yeah.
She in some of her interviews, she said straight up, I wouldn't do anything different.
Yep. Yep.
And so that ties her intrinsically to the inflation.
Well, it ties her to everything Biden. Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
and yeah,
and
everybody thinks of
so when
inflation
you're
as Biden. So
yeah, so when you're talking about the borders, when you're talking about the inflation, she tied herself to those by saying she wouldn't have done anything differently.
well, she also said she was basically in on every
Yeah,
decision that was
yeah,
made. So
yep,
it's like, which with how Biden's brain is, I I wouldn't doubt it. It's uh,
yeah, and
even my kids
for
make fun of Biden. So
yes, yes, I think the other aspect that was a huge impact was how almost everything that she ever said in an interview, almost everything she sent out on her commercials,
hmm
none of it was this is what I'm going to do. It was all bashing Trump.
yeah, it really
And I
was. It
think
was
people just got fed up with that.
yeah. Whatever happened to the joy and
Yeah.
happiness that was her campaign from the
Yeah, I mean
convention?
that was what her campaign was supposed to be. That's but after the convention, you don't hear anything about what she wants to do. You only hear her bashing Trump, calling him a
Yeah,
fascist, calling
Hitler,
him a Nazi, calling him
Hitler.
Hitler. So basically I think that just that negativity from her
hmm
just made it said a lot of people said, I don't know if I want that in the White House. I don't want that negativity in the White House.
I could see that. I could see that.
So I think those are the two major things that were the large impacts.
Yeah, the economy doesn't help, and it's more of a
Mm-hmm.
feeling. It's a psychological thing. It's not
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
actual being. I've seen some things where it's like if you make over $100,000, the economy's great. It's doing well
Yeah.
for you. If you're making
Yep.
less than $100,000, the economy, inflation, and everything like that are kicking you in the
Oh
ass.
yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Absolutely. Yep.
so that is that's something that really needs to be seen, and that can be seen in like with the working class voting for Trump.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, his turnout with non-educated white males.
Right, right.
I mean,
Non-college
the
educated, Jim. Non-college educated. They're
oh,
educated,
sorry.
just
Yeah, yeah.
non-college educated.
Well, some of them are, but there might
Well,
be
of
some in there
course, of course.
because they didn't differentiate between high school dropouts and non-high school dropouts.
They're true, but I've also known some very stupid PhDs. So
Oh,
it's
yeah, I've known more stupid people that went to college than people that didn't.
exactly, exactly.
In
Yeah,
fact,
I'm
I've
along
known
the same
some that
line.
college made them stupider.
I'm pretty much along the same lines for you on why people voted for Trump.
Hmm.
I also think that people are just tired of being pigeonholed into by race and everything like
Yes,
that,
yes,
and then
yes.
also which also this kind of brings up that's a different question that I can ask. But why do you think people voted against Trump? You there?
Um, I would say there's two possible two possible explanations for it.
uh
One is that they just don't like the policies that he came out with.
Right.
I think that there was probably a decent portion that was policy driven, because unlike Harris, Trump did give his policies
Oh yeah. Oh.
on a broad scale. Of course, he didn't get
hmm
down into a lot of fine detail, but there were a lot of people that are very very strongly against tariffs,
Uh-huh.
and so just how strong Trump was going on tariffs, I think that would have turned some people off of him. uh, and then there's always, the people that just believed everything they saw on MSNBC and CNN and thought that he was just an absolutely evil person
Hitler.
that shouldn't have any right to even run for president.
Yeah. Yeah. I, I, with that, I wonder what they're going to do once his felony conviction is overturned, because we know that's about to be overturned, right? Yeah, this is just
Yeah.
how the appeals court was questioning those prosecutors. You know, it's like,
Well, that one wasn't his felony.
that wasn't.
That was the fraud case.
Oh, okay. Wasn't that all
That was
one
that
and the
was the
same?
no. The felony was his payoff to the porn star, and how
Ah,
he
okay.
recorded and how it got recorded in his books.
Got it.
The
Got it.
fraud case was they went after him because of his evaluation of
Ah,
how
yeah,
much
yeah.
Mar-a-Lago was worth,
Okay. Okay.
and yeah, the bank was like, we didn't really care how much Mar-a-Lago was worth. We were going to give him the loan anyways because we've been working with him for 20 fucking years.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one thing they should do, the Democrats should do, they should just stop all of that right now and show that they're magnanimous
Mm-hmm.
and just accept that Trump's going to be president, because you can keep all this going. Jack Smith can keep
Oh yeah,
going all he
oh yeah.
wants, but once Trump is actually in
Well, I
office,
don't know. I mean, from what I've heard, is like the day one that Trump's in office, Jack is getting fired.
no, that's what I'm saying. He can go until
Yeah.
that point in time, until the
Yep.
21st of
Yep.
January. But what's the
Yep.
point? Seriously, what's the
Yeah.
point?
It's not gonna amount to anything.
It won't. It won't. And
Even with the criminal trial, the there's a lot of speculation now that Trump's not going to do any jail time or anything like
no,
that simply because he got elected as president. Um,
well, not only that, but really, there's, for what it was, jail time wouldn't have been really an option per even the sentencing guidelines on that sort of thing.
yeah, yeah. Based on what the rules and regulations, I mean, even just what you know, they overstepped the bounds so much on what they charged him with
Yeah, somehow they made it a
that
felony, which it never should have
yeah,
been.
it shouldn't have been.
If anything, a
Um,
misdemeanor, but even that was outside of what's it called?
yeah,
Time limits.
yep.
So they couldn't even do anything with that. So they had to pump
Yeah, I
it up
mean,
with.
I don't even understand how they could bring those charges because everything was beyond the statute of limitations, wasn't it?
Exact. Yes, yes, it was. But then they
So,
tied it to an election, which kind of put it federal. And so the state was trying to enforce federal law, kind of, sort of. It
which
was
it can't do.
exactly. It was all weird.
It has no standing on federal law,
Yeah, no,
and
that's going to be
the feds had looked into it, and they're like, "There's nothing there."
exactly. So it's going to be overturned and everything like that, and so
Yeah,
we go about our business. But yeah,
and then
I
what do you
kind
know?
of
We'll have a president that wasn't a felon.
yeah, exactly.
Because that was like one of the biggest arguments I was hearing. You shouldn't
No,
vote for him because he's a felon.
I know. I'm like going, okay, so what? You know that just pushed a lot of the black men to vote for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're like, as soon as that mugshot came out, I started hearing all sorts of stuff. He's one of us.
Exactly. Why do you think people actually voted for Harris? Beyond, do you think it's just the party loyalty, or?
I think that has a lot to do with it, but there was also a lot to do with what they consider reproductive rights. The abortion issue, I think, played a pretty big key in it, which I don't really understand. They keep saying that Trump is for an abortion ban,
Right.
but if you ever listen to Trump and what he says,
Mm-hmm.
the only reason that he was happy about the overturning of Roe v. Wade is because it sent the issue back to the states where it belongs.
Yeah, no, exactly. Which is also where Ruth Bader Ginsburg thought it should be. So
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people on both sides of the aisles that thought that it should be in the state purview, not in the federal purview.
Or actually pass a law on the federal side.
Yeah,
It's yeah,
yeah, and so Trump himself has often said that I mean, up until the election, up until 2016, the media and stuff like that was always talking about how Trump was pro-choice.
right.
He believed that women should have the choice, and I don't think there was a switch that was flipped in him. I don't think he suddenly turned pro-life. I think that he in his mind it was basically this the just even if you don't think about that it should be in the state purview, just the fact that that Roe v. Wade happened the way it did, and it became law because of the courts, not
Uh-huh.
because of the legislature.
Right.
That in and of itself, it just screams as to why Roe v. Wade should be overturned.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, one thing he did, like with the Florida constitutional amendment to try to get that to allow abortion. At first, he said, "Yeah, let's vote for that," and then there's a little bit of pushback from the right, and then he
Yeah.
changed his mind. He goes, "No, no, I'm going to vote. No, I'm going to vote." But that was just,
Yep. Yep.
I think that was a political move on his
Yeah,
part.
I think that was a political move on his part, but I mean, just based on that, you know how he actually thinks.
Exactly.
He
Yep.
was for it.
Yep. Yep.
So to say that he's for a nationwide ban, I mean, come on. He specifically took it out of the purview of federal, which means you can't have a nationwide anything.
Yeah, yeah, but that Project 2025, you know
Oh God.
that thing that
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
actually said no to, but
The thing that he said no to, that he had no influence in it, that he had no even prior knowledge to it.
exactly, yep, yep,
And
yep,
just because a couple of people that were the authors were people that he knew, it suddenly became something that he was gonna do on day one. Everything in Project 2025 was gonna be done on day one.
yep, yep. But he decided not to, and he probably won't. He has his own
Yeah.
missions to do, probably close the border again
Oh yeah, he's
and
got
things like
he's got a
that.
lot
So,
more to do than that.
and then we'll have a lot of court fights and everything like that.
Yep.
Why do you think people voted against tariffs?
I mean, I can tell you personally why I voted against Harris.
Uh huh.
Because if there were a better nominee than Trump, I would have voted for him in a heartbeat. Because I mean, there's I'm not really huge on Trump.
Okay.
I think he's the better candidate between the two.
Uh huh.
But personally, I would have loved to have seen like Vivek Ramaswamy get in.
Okay. Okay. He'll probably
I
be part
mean,
of the cabinet, I'd bet.
yeah. That is what it's looking like. Mostly, I mean, because for me, it's always been about we need to clean up the bureaucracy
Hmm.
of that is the federal government, and I think Ramaswamy had a lot better ideas on how to do that than what Trump did. Now that Ramaswamy is associated with Trump now, I think that we may see some of that come into play.
Hmm.
Um, and with Elon Musk, with the government Department of Government Efficiency that they're talking about, I think that there could be some very massive changes. But so the biggest reason that I voted against Kamala was simply because I didn't hear anything from her that sounded even remotely reasonable.
I can see that. Yeah.
I mean, there are so many, as a lot of people say, her word salads.
Right.
Just
Right.
really, really made me question if she was even intelligent enough to do the job.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if she just didn't
And
have a policy. But then, there is a reason why she didn't really even get a single vote when she actually ran against Biden. It's
yeah,
in the primaries, it was just
yeah,
in 2020. Yeah, it was just she had no good ideas. None at
yeah,
all. She would just regurgitate whatever she thought people wanted to hear.
yep. Oh, that's like the tax on tips thing. I
Yep.
mean, as soon as she heard Trump's talking about that and was like, and saw that a lot of people were for it, suddenly she was for it too.
Mm-hmm.
She was abhorrently against fracking. Fracking is the worst thing possible. We need to never frack again. To we need to frack. I mean, that's the one thing I think that's the one thing that's probably the biggest problem I have with most Democrats that are running for office
Uh-huh.
is, and you see it a little bit on the Republican side, but I don't think you see it quite as often, is the ability to, well, I suppose I can call it the ability to change their mind as soon as they see that it doesn't poll right.
Yeah, I'm sure Republicans do the same.
They do, yes, but on the core issues, you don't really
Right.
see Republicans changing.
True.
But
True.
Democrats will
Because
even change on the core issues. Not stopping fracking was a major core issue for a long time.
that really was, and also like the abortion for Republicans. So they're still sticking to it. Plain and simple, they're still
Yeah,
sticking to it.
yeah,
Some of them still want a national ban and everything like that. So it's
yep.
like, no, I
And they're
see your
not
point.
the thing that I like about the Republicans in that aspect is they're not afraid to say what they truly believe.
Right, especially Trump. I think that's what people.
Yeah,
I think that's one reason why he won is because he just says it like he means
yeah,
it. Uh,
yep,
at least on the given day, it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he
But
does what he calls his
even
weave. It's
yes, his weave is very interesting. I get lost in it sometimes.
oh god. Speaking of that whole that victory speech last night was horrible. It's
Yeah,
meandering. It's like, oh, you come up, and then he went off like for 3-4 minutes on Elon Musk. I'm like, going, I don't care, dude. Just
yeah. I mean, I've already watched a lot of your interviews, and every single one of them is still. I put him on hold, and I then I called Elon. Is that you? Yes. Can anybody else do it? No. I mean,
exactly.
I've heard this story so many times. I didn't need to hear it in his victory speech.
Well, apparently he didn't write a victory speech, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, no, he didn't. I don't. I honestly don't think that he was ready to. I don't think he had any idea that he was going to be that close.
uh,
You know, Fox News had already called it for him, like half an hour before he went on,
right.
and the rest of them hadn't called it for him yet. I don't. So according to everyone other than Fox News, he was very close to it. He was up in the 260s,
uh-huh.
but he didn't have that final step yet.
It,
And
it was
so,
funny. I was like switching through all the stations, right? And the main one I was watching was actually Amazon. They had a stream going. It had
okay,
the host was Brian Williams, old
okay,
NBC guy,
yeah,
and that was it was actually more of a even keel across the board. Towards the end, everybody was getting mopey, but once
right,
they said. Once Fox announced that he won Pittsburgh and then he won Wisconsin,
hmm,
they actually played Fox News there for like that little segment to show
okay,
that. And then basically everybody there, they knew it was over. You could tell by their face.
oh yeah, yeah,
They hadn't called it yet because they were going by the
yep,
AP.
Right.
But they just knew it was over. They're like going,
Yeah.
yeah, and and it was just that quickly. Everybody else, CBS and everything like that, they were trying to hold it together a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like way too long.
But
I swear to God,
oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, come on, guys, what are you doing? You know he won. Just look at the
They
numbers.
waited until there was absolutely no mathematical possibility that Harris could pull it off.
Yeah, but what was great about one thing I liked about CBS is that they would actually like show like what percentage she would need to win of the remaining
Yes.
ballots, and
Yep.
then their prediction of what she would actually get.
Yeah. ABC did the same thing.
Uh, Maybe it was ABC. I think it was. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was CBS. But yeah, it was like they actually showed those, and sometimes it was like a 10-point difference. You're like going,
Yeah.
dude, there's no way that she's going to gain those 10 points here. It's
Yeah. Yeah. I watched ABC.
okay.
I would every once in a while switch over to Fox to see if they had called something that ABC hadn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I spent most of the time watching ABC, and I was actually impressed with ABC. I mean, you didn't up until they hit the 266, you didn't hear anything talking about what the politicians had said, what they did. There was like no discussion about the politician. It was all about the vote.
Oh yeah.
Everything that they talked about was this is what we're seeing in the precincts, which is a huge comparison to 2020.
Yeah.
In 2020, they couldn't stop talking about the politician. They couldn't stop talking about how, we needed to make sure that we needed to make sure Biden won so that, so that this country would be safe again and all this other stuff. But there was none of that in ABC up until the 266. Once they got to 266, they're like, well, one station has already called it, and we can pretty much guarantee that it's going to go that way. But there's still this statistical chance. There's still like a 1% chance that Harris could pull it out.
Yeah, but why are you sticking around for 1% chance? Just call it, for God's sakes. It was it was kind of funny. It was something like, I can't remember. It was maybe when it was at like 266 or something like that. And after the Trump speech, I was flipping around, so I decided to check out what the foreign presses were saying. So I turned on Sky News from the UK.
Okay.
And they were hilarious. They were basically just going, "Yeah, Trump won. Yeah, this is a great victory for Trump." And they were going, "I really don't know what our prime minister is going to do, because him and his party really messed up, and they were trying to help Kamala win and everything like this." So they were going off on that, and then they go, "But why isn't anybody else calling this? We see that he's going to win. Why is nobody else seeing this?" They were going off on like the AP and everything like that, going, "Guys, this doesn't make sense. He's going to win. He's the president. Why don't we just call it? Just call it good."
Yeah, no, absolutely. If they would have called it when they could, maybe Kamala could have come out and given her concession speech.
No, I don't think so. That's right. She pansied out
way early.
Completely.
Yeah, she took out way early.
She pulled a Hillary Clinton, is what she did.
Yep.
I don't know what's up with that. Why you don't?
Yeah, I don't know why she didn't go out and talk to the people.
Say, "Oh, thanks guys for showing up," whatnot. It's like, are you too busy crying in the back? Come on, suck it up. It's
it's really interesting how that all worked out. But no, so I was fairly impressed with ABC. And you could tell by the people that were doing the actual show, even they couldn't figure out why it hadn't been called yet. They're like,
Yep.
we pretty much know that Trump's got Wisconsin already.
Exactly.
But we don't have any communication with the back desk, and the back desk is the one that calls it for us. So we can't say anything until the back desk calls it.
Yep.
So we just have to sit here and wait and be way behind on everything.
Yeah. Brad Williams would come in and go, well, I don't know why the state wasn't called before, but Illinois goes to Harris. Yeah. it's like, why did we wait past poll closing on this one? We should have just called it right away, guys. Yeah, it's
Yep. Yeah, that was yeah. So that was very interesting, and how long it took for them to actually call Wisconsin. I mean, Fox News called Wisconsin at like 1:15, 1:30, something like that. And ABC didn't call it until like 5, 6 o'clock or something. I think is what you had said.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was like an hour before I woke up that they called it.
Yeah, that's a 4-hour difference. I mean,
yep.
Not much changed in those 4 hours because there weren't very many votes left to count.
There really weren't.
And the funny thing was that the reason that they were saying we can pretty much guarantee it's going to go Trump is because they were looking at it and they're like, well, at this point in time, if Kamala got 100% of the votes that haven't been counted yet, then she would win.
I know.
But based on the votes that had been counted, they're like, and based on just the percentages of everything, because like at that point in time, Trump would be at like 44 and Kamala would be at 50 something. They're like, there's no way that Harris is going to get 100% of these votes. She's going to get 50+% at best. Which means that she's not going to catch up.
Yep, I think they were waiting for another 2020, a ballot dump of some sort. That's what I figure. Or they just couldn't. Well, they just couldn't comprehend that Trump would win again. They just couldn't. So they're like going, this can't be. There's got to be something going. It's
Yeah. And they actually gave an explanation as to why they think that there was a difference between 2020 and 2024 as far as the ballot dump. I did not remember this, but during the election of 2020, Trump told everybody, do not do mail-in ballots. Go on the day of the election.
Yeah. Well, that was generally Republican thought anyways, was that. Yeah. But
but so they count the votes in person first.
Yep.
And then they start counting the mail-in ballots. And so that's why even if there was no fraud, that's why it looked like there could have been, because Trump had this massive lead at first. Yep. And then they start counting the mail-in ballots and suddenly his lead just goes poof.
Yeah. But this year, Republicans really decided to take advantage of it. This year, not quite as much as Republicans, but it was able to help push them. As Democrats. Yeah. But it helped them push their numbers on opening or on election day to actually
absolutely
be competitive. So
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the Amish vote in Pennsylvania. I think that played a pretty big key in Pennsylvania. I didn't know this, but not too long ago, the Democrats they shot themselves in the foot. The bureaucracies went in and shut down a decent amount of Amish farms because of their farming practices.
Oh, Jesus.
And that just, I mean, that's why almost every Amish person voted Trump.
I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, because, as they were saying on some of the people I'd heard talking about it were saying, they're like, the Amish have been farming the same way since they came to the country.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden now, because, they weren't quite organic or something like that was the problem. And they're like, you don't just go and mess with the Amish, especially on how they farm, because they've been doing it forever.
Exactly. Yep.
And they chose this year, not long before the election, to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there
Yeah.
might also have been a small shift due to Peanut the Squirrel, if you heard about that story.
Peanut the Squirrel. Hilarious.
Yep.
So many memes of this is for Peanut. You gotta love stupid stories like that. They're hilarious.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But
Let's see here. Let's go through some exit polling data here. See if we can find anything interesting.
Okay.
It looks like she was read just in the 50s across the age range. 55 for 18 to 29, 51% for 30 to 44. 45% for 45 to 64, and then 50% of 65 and older. So that was Harris. That doesn't.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting because Trump got a lot more of the 18 to 29 vote than
Yep.
almost everybody predicted.
Yep. Apparently, though,
But
it's per these exit polls, the 18 to 29-year-olds, that was only 14% of the respondents. 30 to 44 were 23% of the respondents. 45 to 64 were 35% of the respondents. And that's why that number for Trump really helped kick him off, because they were the largest group, the 45 to 64. Yeah. And then the 65 and older were 28% of the population. And so Trump got 49% of them as well. So that was almost a draw on that side. It's
yeah, I kind of saw the 18 to 29 though. I kind of saw that happening. I can't remember his name. The guy that went around to a whole bunch of campuses and debated the students. I can't remember his name, but I recognized immediately if I saw him.
Right.
But the responses that he got, if you look at when he first started doing it to when it started getting close to the election, the responses from the college students were like, you could just see the slow progression of them leaning more right. And so that was very interesting watching that, the just that he tosses out mega hats during the show and when the show starts. And he's done it the whole time, but at the first few episodes, you see a few people wearing mega hats, but towards the end there, it's like 3/4 of the crowd had mega hats on. So I'm like, damn, this is actually working.
Yeah, no kidding. Looks like married people voted for Trump more than not married.
Okay.
By like 55, it was like 55% of married people voted for Trump, and 56 voted for it, and not married voted for Harris. But
yeah,
there were more married people that voted.
Yep. Well, and it's kind of interesting. I had a thought a couple of days ago about Harris's commercial about women. You don't have to tell your men who you voted for. You can just go into the polling booth and vote for whoever you want. And then they later on did one where men could do that. You didn't have to tell your bros who you were voting for. Stuff like that. And I didn't think about it at first, but when she says that, she's basically saying that anyone that's married, their husband is going to beat them if they vote for Trump.
Well, I know I'd beat mine.
No, I think she'd probably beat you.
Well,
I think there's a better chance of her beating you the other way around.
we just get around it by not voting.
Yeah. But I mean, just the thought process that had to have gone through their heads to make those commercials. You can only assume that they truly believe that almost everyone that votes for Trump is a wife beater.
Of course they are.
Partakes in domestic violence.
They're Nazis and fascists and wife beaters, of course.
Yeah. and so, if you put all that together, I mean, that's got to draw out the Republicans to make sure that they go out and vote. Yeah. I think she may have had a larger impact on getting the Republicans to the polls than Trump did.
Oh, completely. I wouldn't doubt it at all, because all that, that's one thing that Republicans and even independents generally realize, is that basically calling a Republican a fascist or Hitler or anything like that, or a racist, doesn't matter, because you've been calling the conservatives this for decades now, and so we just go, okay, sure, why not? It's like, we don't believe you anymore, people. This is you've been using that race baiting for so long. It just doesn't even work anymore. It doesn't affect us on the right side of the spectrum. We're just like, we're going to be called that no matter what. It doesn't matter. It's like both of Vance and Trump. Trump has an immigrant wife. Vance is married to a first generation Indian. It's like, I don't see much like racism or anything like that in there. Yeah, you could be fascist, of course. That would make sense. You can be fascist and not be a racist.
Yeah, that would be a possibility. Yes,
exactly. But not a Nazi. You couldn't be a Nazi and not be a racist. Those two don't really work out so well. But you could be a fascist.
Yeah,
it's
just the stretch that they had to go to claim that he was a Nazi or that he was fascist is just insane. I mean, because Hitler said a few of the same words that he did, suddenly that means that he's taking up Hitler's crusade and is going to be this ultra fascist.
Well, I don't think Trump and Hitler actually even spoke the same language, so they really couldn't say the same words. But
yeah,
but
I mean, the translated words. I mean, because he said some things that were slightly related to the concept that Hitler was saying.
They both had a rally at
issues.
Yeah, they both had a rally at Madison Square Garden. Apparently, it's a different building, though. Did you know that? Apparently,
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, apparently the current Madison Square Garden was built in the 50s or 60s.
Oh, okay.
So technically, that's a fact check false right there on.
It is. Yeah.
Because it's a different building. Yeah. Just because it's named the same thing, that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. After all, how many Target centers are there across the world?
Oh, geez. Yeah, Target has really gone nuts on naming things after themselves. It's been crazy.
Target, Sprint, all of those, all the ones that build these stadiums and stuff. I mean,
well, not Sprint anymore because they're dead.
But
T-Mobile now.
You see it all over the place where, it's rather funny, if you're looking at at football teams that are playing each other. They're at the Target Center. Well, there's okay, so that doesn't tell me which city they're playing in, because both of those cities have a Target Center.
Exactly. Yep.
When I understand the concept of naming the stadiums and stuff after the company that's doing it, but I would much rather see them put an actual name, and then buy Target or something like that. You can still have Target on there, but you don't name it the Target Center.
No, that's how I feel too.
It has no individuality.
Yeah. It's like the Metrodome when that was still around. Hubert Humphrey Metrodome
Yes.
in the cities, or Joe Louis Arena in Detroit where the Red Wings used to play.
Yep.
Now it's what is it? What is it? The Vikings Stadium now? What is that called? I can't remember what it's called
Um.
nowadays. It's a pretty stadium, my God, but
Yeah.
but the one in Detroit, the Red Wings now play for at Little Caesars Arena. So yeah, it's why they don't just name it after the owner of Little Caesars, I don't know. But it's
The Vikings play at the U.S. Bank Stadium.
U.S. Bank. Okay, I knew it was a
Yep.
bank. I thought it was like maybe TD
Yeah.
or something like that. There's so many.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, it's just yeah. But anyways, back to politics.
Exactly. Actually, let me do the value for value statement here.
Okay.
So, okay, guys, here at the Mindless Meanderings, we are a value for value model. This means that you are producers of the show and you can help us with all aspects of the show. This has been described as time, talent, or treasure. You can help out by doing art, jingles, or anything for the show that you would want to. And you can also send us ideas and information for the topics that we cover. You can email me at jesse@mindlessc.com, or you can email Jamin at jamin@mindlessmeanderings.com. But most importantly, we need the treasure. Money will ensure that we can continue bringing you our mindless meanderings. Just donate however much you think this podcast was worth to you, whether it's $3, 300, or $1, or a peso. I don't care. Just send us what you feel this podcast was worth to you. Any amount helps, and it will also keep us spouting our mindless meanderings. When you do donate, you can also send us a short email that we will read live on air. You can donate through our website, mindlessmeanderings.com, or through your favorite podcast app. When you do donate treasure, aka money, we will list you as a producer of the show. Since we are just starting out, whoever donates at least $100 will be listed as an executive producer, and the rest will be listed as associate producers. So yeah, let's go back to politics here. I was looking over some more of the exit polls. It looks like Harris got the urban vote, but Trump
Yeah.
got the suburban and rural vote. So he actually got both of them.
Oh wow, he got the suburban.
From this exit polling, yeah, he got
Wow.
50% instead of 48%.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's kind of impressive because usually suburban doesn't go Republican very hard, very heavy.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting too.
That is definitely interesting. Yeah.
So that could really show why he was able to win out. It's
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
let's see here. What are you looking forward to in Trump's new term?
Um. There's a couple of things that I would really like to see happen that he has been saying that we're going to happen. Number one would be the cleaning up the bureaucracies, getting the government to be more efficient.
Uh-huh.
I can only imagine just if they actually can go in and make the government efficient, I could see our national debt starting to decrease massively before too long.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Because we definitely spend way too much money on stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Even back when I was a kid, you'd hear jokes about how you go to the the hardware store and you buy a hammer for $1.50 to $5 at the most.
Uh-huh.
But if you're in the U.S. military, you're spending about $5 million for a
Right, right,
hammer.
right.
And unfortunately, that's not really inaccurate. I mean, the number may be a little bit exaggerated, but you spend a lot more money for anything. Even a paperclip costs a lot more money when it's government spending.
Yeah, if we could pare that down, that'd be great. Actually since it looks like he'll actually have control of the House as well, along with the Senate.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe we could actually get something physically done, because
Yeah.
that needs to be done so badly. Our fiscal
Oh,
health
yeah.
is horrible. It
I
is
would
truly
also
horrible.
love to. I would also love to see some laws passed pertaining to actually, doing what every state has to do, which is to balance your budget.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Because the federal government right now, they don't have to balance their budget. They can just spend whatever they want to spend.
Oh yeah, that's why we're so in debt. Yep.
Yeah, but there isn't a single state out there that doesn't have to balance the budget with the income.
Yep. Yep.
So, I would love to see the federal government have to adhere to that same type of policy. Um,
It would be
it probably
nice.
never will, but it would be
Yeah.
really nice.
I could see where it could be a little bit different, because we control the Fed as well. So we have a
Yeah,
little bit more
we have a little bit
sway.
of leeway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's not like states that have no control over it, or like
right.
EU countries that have no control over the euro. It's
Yeah, yeah.
which screwed over many countries over there. So
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely did. So I would like to see it. I would like to see some laws enacted that do a much better job of balancing the budget. If nothing else, pass a law that you have to actually create and vote on an actual budget every year,
that'd be nice.
rather than just doing what they do now, which is they just keep approving the budget from 20 years ago or however long ago it was.
A continuing resolution.
Yeah. I mean, that's been continuing resolutions for God knows how long now.
Yep.
And they don't actually do anything with a budget. I mean,
Hmm.
they make the bureaucracies do budgets,
Yep.
but then they don't even look at them.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. That would be
Yeah,
nice.
so
That
that
would
that's that's one of the things that I would really love to see happen. Um, of course, that's not something that Trump has talked about with as far as the budget thing goes. But
right.
even without that, just making the government more efficient would be a godsend.
It would be. It would be. I'm looking forward to, like when it comes to like foreign policy, but also like our border situation, get that under control.
Yes.
Uh, which will help everything. It'll help the economy. It'll help pretty much everything. And
Hmm.
then just let Trump do what he does with foreign policy, because that man, when it comes to foreign policy, he is a genius, I think.
Oh yeah.
We didn't have a single war while we
Yep.
didn't go into a new one. We had Afghanistan and everything like that,
Well,
and he
not
couldn't
not
get
only
out.
not
But
only did yeah, not only did we not have a single foreign war, but he also was able to get almost everyone he talked to give in to what we said we needed them to do.
exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
he
Carrot
got
and stick,
China to agree to things. He got Russia to agree to things. I mean,
Yep.
with Afghanistan, when he went in and said, "Look, you kill another one of our soldiers, we're going to destroy you. We're going to take you out."
Yep.
And
Yep.
for 18 months, not a single soldier got shot at.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, just the way he does things, the way he, if you want to call him a bully, you can. I mean, he bullies them massively because we have the power to back it up.
Well, yeah, and then he got EU to actually pay for NATO, all
Yeah.
those countries. So that was nice.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so I mean, it's yeah, you definitely need to just let him do his thing with the foreign politics. I mean, he's a genius at it.
I think so. I think so. Are there
Another
anything's? Yeah.
I
What?
was going to say another thing I would love to see and am looking forward to um, is some of the stuff that they're talking about with food and medicine and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, you know,
The
I didn't
RFK
know this,
stuff.
but yeah, the RFK stuff. Um, I personally believe that we need to eliminate a lot of the stuff that goes into the foods that we eat. For example, I would love to see them cut high fructose corn syrup out of all of our food, make that illegal to put that in food. I mean, it's a poison. It
Yeah, whatever.
it
I
takes a long
really,
time,
I prefer
but
sugar,
no, I
but
mean
you know,
just
it
the
doesn't matter to me really. But
if nothing else, if you taste anything that has sugar versus something that has high fructose corn syrup,
oh yeah,
the sugar tastes so much better.
yeah. No, it's like Coke overseas, or as they call it
Yeah.
around here, Mexican Coke. You know,
Yep.
it's
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I mean, the taste is so much better than high fructose corn syrup is. And so just on taste alone, I would love to see high fructose corn syrup gone. Um, but then, there's also the fact that you look at almost every other country in the world, and it's illegal to put high fructose corn syrup or a lot of the dyes and stuff like that in our foods. Our food producers actually usually make two sets of food.
Uh-huh.
They make food for sale here in the US, which is loaded with a whole bunch of bad stuff, and they make food for overseas where they use a lot more natural stuff like the food coloring and dyes.
Oh,
They
I
use
know.
vegetables and stuff like that to
Oh,
do
I
the
know.
coloring. So
I know. I'll miss that color of our Fanta though. Come on. You know that orange pop, that orange color.
oh
You
yeah, yep.
cannot get that
Yeah,
anywhere else.
no, you can't. You can't.
Unless if they change it to the actual recipe for Canadian Fanta. Holy.
Yeah,
Do you remember when we would go hunting up in Canada, right?
up in
And there's
Manitoba. Yeah.
yeah, and there's a orange pop that was like fantastic.
Yes, yes.
That is Fanta. That is their Fanta.
That's Fanta?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That was so much better than Fanta here in the US.
Yes. Exactly.
But
That was
but then
Fanta.
again that's a lot of products. You go overseas and taste it and you're like, "Holy shit, this is what it's supposed to taste like."
Well, no, it's only Canadian because it doesn't taste like that
Yeah.
anywhere else in the
Well,
world.
no. I know
It's
that one
funny. It's just
specifically is
there how they
Canadian.
make it there. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yep. But
Let's
yeah,
see
so I
here.
mean, I am kind of hopeful towards some of the stuff that RFK was running on because I I agree with a lot of the stuff that he said as far
Yep.
as the health wise goes. I've always like putting fluoride in our water.
Mm-hmm.
Fluoride it helps the teeth when it sits on the teeth.
Right.
It doesn't help the teeth from within the body.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense to put fluoride in like toothpaste and stuff like that.
Yep. But otherwise, it's just industrial waste.
But drinking water, it like has contact with your teeth for maybe a half a millisecond,
Exactly.
and then it
Yep.
goes into the body where it does nothing for your teeth.
Yep.
But based on studies and stuff, it's pretty bad.
That's what they say. I don't know.
Well,
It's
no, there was actually a court case where they brought it up,
no.
and
I know.
it's yeah, that's
Yeah.
it should
yeah.
have been taken out of the water a long time ago based on that court case, but the EPA's been pushing it off and pushing it off and
Yep.
pushing it
Yep.
off.
Yep. Are there any negative things that you can see about Trump's new term coming?
Um, there are some negatives, but it's mostly in the interactions within the government.
Yep, that's basically how I feel. And with the
And
media.
yeah, I don't know if I agree with what he said that he was going to do with CBS, where he was going to pull their license.
Oh.
Um,
Yeah, no, it's like things like that. I doubt if that'll happen.
yeah.
It was like the SNL thing where the SNL said that they wouldn't have any candidate on, and
Hmm.
then last Friday they had Harris on,
Oh, did they? I didn't know
which
that.
actually broke FCC laws because you have to give equal airtime.
Right.
And so because of that, Trump actually got two free 90-second spots. One was during NASCAR,
Okay.
and then the other one was during Sunday Night Football,
Oh,
which is
wow.
like prime time
Those
for
are
his
like
type of
huge
voters.
times. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it's yeah, that was
Oh, that's hilarious.
but yeah, I'm pretty much along the same lines. It's basically like what else is going on and everything like that. It's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
the media will attack him, how well, Democrats will always attack him and everything like that. But I hope we can get
Well,
past the complete
luckily
hate that they have.
luckily if we get the House and the Senate, at least he won't be bogged down for the first 2 years with
Yep.
impeachment. You know,
yes. At least no impeachment. So yeah, it's
because I mean, they were already, I think the Democrats were seeing the writing on the wall not too long before the election, because I suddenly started hearing about how they were getting ready for impeachment hearings and stuff like that.
Jesus Christ. Just leave it be,
And
people. I swear to
they
God.
were talking about how they needed to they needed the Senate, well, when they were going to be doing basically the January 6th stuff, which is, tabulate doing the
Right.
final tabulation and everything. They were saying that they were going to have to invalidate Trump's ability to even run for the election because of the whole insurrection, stuff like
Funny.
that. And so, I mean, as soon as they started saying that, I'm like, oh shit, they're afraid. They
Yeah,
know they're
yeah.
going down.
That is crazy. That is really crazy.
Yep. But
Uh,
so I
well,
mean,
on that,
that is the one downside.
okay, yeah, I can see that. Well, it looks like this podcast was all about Trump. We're running out of time here.
I got a couple of quick
Uh,
things that non-Trump related if you want to hear them.
no, we can save those for next time.
Okay.
Uh, and we'll just call this Trump or something like that.
Yep.
But thank you for joining us for episode 10 of the Mindless Meanderings podcast. And we will all see you on the flip side.